This has been what I've been working towards all of my life, really.
Trying desperately to stay on the podium, and I think it's all changed for second position and third, but what matters is George Russell's taken a GP plate.
I think the moment I really told myself that I wanted to become an F1 driver was in 2009 at Silverstone Grand Prix. I just remember standing at Copse Corner at the start and it just being incredibly loud and just looking so quick. There's only 20 drivers in Formula One. You have to give it your absolute everything.
I'd like to get to Formula One like most people would.
I believe I'm ready, but you just don't know. I don't want to be complacent. Our main pre-season training was based in Lanzarote. We mainly focused on doing a lot of cycling to build up that cardio strength because I've only been racing 1 hour races previously, and now in Formula One we can be racing up to 2 hours, so that's very important. I think a lot of people don't associate Formula One with being a very physical sport. Over the course of a lap, you've got up to 5 Gs of force going through your body and your neck. Imagine yourself laying on the side of your bed and somebody puts 50 kilos on the side. That's pretty much what it feels like driving through a high-speed corner. I've been with Aleix for 3 years now, and from the moment we met, I kind of made it clear to him that my goal is Formula One.
We have to treat these guys like what they are. They are Formula One drivers. We use gravity, we use inertial resistance, we use elastic bands, manual resistance, everything we can, and also all the cognitive stress brings the heart rate up. So we try and do a lot of cardio, but also stressing the mind at the same time. Obviously, they're driving really fast, they have to memorize a lot of things, and also they have pressure from behind, pressure up front. The cognitive load is really, really high.
Having that relationship with Aleix is really important, I think. On the professional level, when we work in the gym or going off cycling together, he does a fantastic job to push me to my limits. To have somebody like him by my side who I trust, who I get along with really well, it's just really important through the ups and downs of a Formula One season.
Good morning.
How are you?
Yourself?
Yeah, really, really good.
He came to meet me at a race in summer of 2018, armed with a notebook. You know, there's a story he brought the engineers, a PowerPoint presentation as to why we should select him for the race seat. And you know, no driver does that, and it really sets him apart because he took it seriously.
I've not really had this feeling for about 10 years now, so...
It's really exciting, isn't it? I'm so excited. Here, George, waiting.
Yeah, one space just right there. This team has so much history, so much success, and it's no secret they've come off the back of a difficult year. But to be part of that process of making a change to really build everybody together as one and push us forward is a real privilege and an honour to be part of that.
You're one of only 20 men who will drive a Formula One car next year.
I'm really going to focus on working well with the team, get everybody on the same page so we can develop in one direction. I started karts when I was 8 years old, sort of went through the British ranks until I was 12, and then started racing in Europe at the highest level out there. Actually racing against probably 6 of the guys I'm racing against now in F1.
The kart just felt really good and the engine, so I think I was quite quick as well.
You just go out there, have fun. It's so easy to race one another because you don't have any downforce on the kart, so it really is the description of pure racing. There were certainly times there's nothing on the radar. I had no links with F1 teams, so I just thought, you know what, I'm doing my best. I feel like I'm capable, but I don't think the opportunity will come. And then suddenly, almost out of the blue, I got a phone call from Mercedes and everything changed from there. It just feels like a huge achievement to make it into Formula One, but I don't want to be complacent. To reach Formula One is one thing, but to stay in the sport for and have a long and successful career as I wish to have is another thing.
got a simulator that we use on a regular weekly basis. It's used as a tool for the drivers to learn the circuits and to get a feel for the potential setup items that we may try at the track.
Both the drivability of run 1 and run 2 was good, but obviously we were very front limited. So my argument or curiosity is, when we put the balance in a better window, will the drop-off be as great as it is in that final run we just did?
I think George understands where we are with the car and the pace isn't where we want it. He just has to extract the best from the car that he can, and together we try and optimise the car as best we can each weekend, and then it's just a case of waiting for those improvements to come, and in the meantime being as accurate as he can be with his feedback.
The one thing I changed then as well is from when I'm practicing,
when he's describing a feeling, he always tries to put some numbers against what he's saying, which is really useful for us as engineers. So it helps us kind of put some markers in the data.
I think Formula 1 is such a complex sport, and quite often you can get lost in the computer analysis and all your data traces and everything, that you sometimes forget the basics, and I think that's what I want to try and bring into the team and build that relationship, so no matter what the situation, we all understand each other, and that will really help us to build a great car.
You need the bond and the trust between engineer and driver. Under the time restrictions and the pressured conditions, you can certainly make more progress by having that relationship.
13 is an apex understeer 3. Everything I say, they know exactly what I mean, and every change they make to the car, I know why they're doing it. Because, like I said, I don't feel as much on the other side, and I think it's very slightly further down as well. One is a straight, 10-4, down.
Yeah, so if you make this more of a triangle, point with a ridge.
I've been working my socks off to be ready in every single aspect to take this opportunity and give it my all.
Welcome to Formula 1 testing from Barcelona, where the big news we're here to talk about right now is in fact a car that isn't running and may not run until the 3rd day of the test.
Testing this year was a very different challenge. Things were changing not just daily, I mean hourly. It's quite a tough situation to be in because testing starts and all you want to do is be on track talking about the season and getting things going, and it did feel like a bit of a waiting game.
It is difficult to prepare for an F1 season, especially being a rookie, because I've never experienced it before. There's so many things you need to think about. Where do I brake? Where do I turn? Defending from a guy, attacking a driver. And sometimes you have to hold yourself back to be able to gain even more performance, and that kind of adds to the cognitive stress.
There's a lot of different things that he's going to experience on the track. When he comes back in, he has to be very clear to us what the main problems are, and the better he is at that, the faster really we can try and get on top of them.
It takes a lot to reach this. I give it everything whenever I have an opportunity. I think the best way to do that is just optimise every single weekend.
His understanding of tyres has come on leaps and bounds. The tyres are extremely difficult to understand. Australia qualifying was also, well, it was good from the fact that it was the first one that George had to deal with. We dealt with it quite well.
Formula 1 is my dream, and to finally be in this point with such a fantastic team is going to be amazing, just working together to all achieve that same goal we have.
It's lights out and away we go. Bottas gets away well. He's alongside Lewis Hamilton and he's making a...
How was your Formula 1 debut?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty awesome when you say that, but obviously, a bit of a long, lonely race, and at the end of the day, just had to bring the car home because we are so far off the pace, and it was pretty much a test session for us just to understand. We did an additional pit stop to try all 3 compounds of tyres, and that's unfortunately where we are at the moment.
I think for George it's probably been a particularly difficult year. I think he knew what he was getting into when he joined us, but I don't think anyone can really anticipate what it feels like, particularly in a rookie year, to get into a car that you know before you get into qualifying and you know before you get into the race is going to be falling at the back of the grid, and I think that's probably been a real challenge for him.
We've never really been realistically in a shout of scoring points, but we've managed to, I think on the face of it, cope extremely well in the background, dealing with the relative pace that the car is.
I think we knew early on that it might be a difficult year in terms of performance, but our job as a race team is to do the best we can with what we're given, and I think that's what we did really.
We knew what was coming this year, we knew where the car performance was, so it wasn't as much of a shock, I think, for everybody as 2018 was.
I think generally the car was more often than not reasonably well balanced. We just didn't have the lap time. In terms of making it more raceable, I think we struggled more with the straight line speed than we did necessarily the corner speed in terms of a Sunday afternoon racing.
Azerbaijan was a difficult weekend, that was early on, so we hit a manhole cover in FP1, so we lost the whole of Friday, we had to build a new car. And I think from there on in, we had a really solid weekend. Not a standout in terms of performance, but just in terms of how George got to grips with the track with the new car, I think was impressive.
To go racing, and it's lights out, and away we go. Hamilton gets a mega start.
I've definitely had good races and good qualifying sessions, and I've definitely had poorer ones.
Grosjean and Russell tangling. Oh, Russell gets tagged by Grosjean and sent into the wall.
You okay? Did you do it? Yeah, copy. I shouldn't be surprised.
You know, Singapore was a frustrating weekend when, well, I had an unnecessary incident with Grosjean and, you know, crashed the car.
The pace seemed really good, was catching the pack, and then with Roman, I have inside of the corner going into the right-hander. As I was at the apex, I was fully ahead and just was taking my normal line on the exit. And after seeing the video, it doesn't even look like he's trying to hold it. He's sort of giving the corner up, but not fully giving the corner up. And the next thing I know, I'm in the wall. So yeah, frustrating.
It's pointless, you know, throwing your toys out of a pram over something you can't change. So let's just, you know, go out every race, make the most of it, set ourselves our own goals or targets.
Yeah, definitely the toughest day I've ever had in a race car, that's without a doubt. Thank you.
We have to remember these guys are all winners and high achievers, so when something doesn't go right, it puts them in a really dark place.
In Formula One, things don't change in a night. These things take a lot of time, and I quickly recognised that and thought, you know, it's a bigger picture here. We need to try and help the team for the coming years and build these foundations. There's no doubt we are going to improve. I think that's one thing we can all be sure of. All we can do is keep doing our best, keep improving the car as we're doing, and see where that leads us into next season.
When the team isn't performing great on track, it's always a challenge, especially for the media side of things as well as the partner side of things. And you do have to put a lot of time and effort into managing those relationships. One of our roles as a comms team is to try and protect the drivers a little bit. We wouldn't just put a driver out in front of the media for the sake of it, just to field some questions. The engineers are fully across what the driver's doing in the car. Everything outside of that we need to manage, but we also need to be really aware that he has actually got a job to do and he needs to be fully focused on that.
I knew it was going to be a lot, but I never knew it was going to be this much, to be honest. It's sometimes a very odd feeling that everybody either wants your time or wants your answers from questions, and constantly having the spotlight on you or the microphone in front of your face.
He is the focal point, and people want proportions of his time, and it's down to us really to manage them and to split them up the best way we can without compromising any time on track, and I think we generally do that quite well.
The level of duties we have to take off circuit is enormous, from all the marketing events, appearances. It's just so crammed those 3 days. Monaco is unreal. It truly is unreal. It's something from a movie. All these famous pop stars, movie stars, whatever they may be, just in that very small, tiny area. It's just ridiculous.
The key to Monaco is planning. The drivers don't really have that much time to think. They do have to go from one thing to another, and if one thing's delayed, it has a knock-on effect for the whole day.
To be honest, when the helmet's on, the feeling's very much the same. You're so in the zone, and in some ways it's been good that there's been no additional media pressure.
I think handling the media from Monaco is no different to his first race in Australia or his home race in Silverstone.
To be honest, I was dealing with it pretty well, but it's the times when you will say something and it's sort of twisted and it becomes a headline, which is something you really didn't intend to be. Obviously, from my side, if I had a choice, I just want to go driving and go as fast as I can.
I'd say the positives are we've made progress, small progress, but it's definitely been progress. Positives are I've learned a huge amount.
I don't need to give George advice on how to carry himself, how to behave in the media and what to do in a race car. Despite being 21, George gets it and he knows it, and that is the best kind of race driver to have.
No, I think performance-wise we cannot expect anything too special. We had the Barcelona test, which was very positive for the team, but as Monaco is so specific.
What you see off camera with George is the same as what you see on camera. That's just his personality, and I think that does come across well in the media, and it's one of his greatest assets, and it's one of the reasons that the team really enjoy having him around.
Formula One's a very glamorous sport, or it's perceived to be a very glamorous sport. So
I think I deal with it quite easily because I know that's what we have to give back to go racing. It's just part of being an F1 driver to give something back, and it's just part of the job.
It's 40 years since Williams won its first ever race here at Silverstone with Clay Regazzoni in 1979. Just how aware are you of your team's history, and how does it make you feel to be lining up with Williams on the grid this weekend?
I'm very, very aware of everything the team has achieved, and it's, you know, it really is an honour to race for Williams. And like I said, we are almost getting the mickey taken us out of us at the moment with our performance. But like I said, it's a longer-term project for the team, and you know, you could have done a number of short-term things to be good in the moment, but like I said, the team have bigger and greater things at mind.
Silverstone is one of my personal favourite races on the calendar for so many reasons.
There's just something different about Silverstone to all of the other races. It's just a different atmosphere.
It's a real test of man and machine, and the fans are probably the best fans that we have. Williams as a team has had many historic moments achieved on that race circuit and will always be, I think, a firm favourite amongst everybody that works at Williams.
It's like Dad's got 2 laps to try and convince you to come to Williams.
On the grid, George Russell, who has been here, of course, before and won in the junior formula, but sampling his first Formula One experience at Silverstone.
To be honest, I think this crowd are amazing, and there is really a different atmosphere and vibe about Silverstone. It's down to these guys, so thank you, keep it up. And I mean, I can't show anything for it this year, but hopefully in years to come I can put on a bit more of a show for the guys.
What is it like?
I never really doubted myself. I was 100% dedicated, and I always believed in myself. I just remember standing at Copse Corner at the start and it just being incredibly loud and just looking so quick. That was the moment when I wanted to become an F1 driver.
It's lights out and away we go. Hamilton, I think, got a better start, but Bottas is just ahead at the moment. Covers off his teammate, Leclerc in third for Verstappen, and then Sebastian.
This year, every time he gets into the car for qualifying has been quite extraordinary.
Hungary qualifying with George is one of the standout ones where we were just within a whisker of getting through to Q2.
very, very good effort from George Russell. That's 1.1 seconds faster than Williams went last year. I know you've got a year of evolution on that, but that's not how it's panned out so far this year for Williams, so that's a cracker.
That was everything, boys. Lucky last one we missed. P16 just got bumped on last lap. How much by? 0.05. Lucky. Great job there. Great lap. Thanks, guys. Car was great. Pity we didn't get through. You were a 10th, and there's another 3 spots there, I think. It's a great lap.
For us at the moment, in a huge restructuring process, it's almost like you have to take 2 steps back to make 3 steps forward, and there really is a light at the end of a tunnel. So, we do just have to be patient at the moment, and the success will come later down the line.
This year, we've had this amazing crop of the next generation coming in. So we've got this kind of older and newer generation, and to see them compete against each other is just wonderful.
I've learned so much this year, and I have really enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, I never dreamt of coming to it.
In terms of the other rookies from 2019, so Alex and Lando alongside George, I think they've all done extremely well.
It's so terrible. I'm going to think about this again as one person. I never talk about it. Yes, I need these guys to create a bit of carnage in front of me. I can rely on Alex to do that.
George has grown up with those drivers, and they're the ones that have been given the great machinery to show their talent, whereas unfortunately George hasn't. He still goes out there, he knows one day his time will come, and I think that says a lot about George.
It was fantastic going back to Abu Dhabi, winning the Formula 2 Championship just the year before, also putting it on pole there in GP3.
Working with George through 2019 has been really good. He pauses just before he starts to talk, and you can almost sense that he's compiling all the information to just come out in a concise way. It's easier to understand each other, follow each other, and almost preempt each other's thoughts in a way.
He's always been very good with the media, and he's always been very good at articulating himself, not just for the journalists, but you can hear it when he's in the car, the way he talks to the engineers, the way he gives feedback.
And this guy's only 21, he's young, and this is only his first year, but you know that he is eminently capable. You know he's never going to put a foot wrong, but knowing what he can achieve in qualifying, I think just gives me a sense of motivation moving forward.
It didn't make a difference whether it was race 1 or race 21. George was keen to talk to all the engineers at the factory, be it design or aero. He's always put in as much help as he can to make sure we're developing the car the right way, and that's not really changed all year, which I think has been the most impressive thing.
He's always been talented driving, so there's no doubt about that, but he has improved a lot in so many areas.
I've learned so much in 2019, and I think my goal is to take that into 2020 and improve on my weaknesses.
Checker flag. P17, good drive. Thank you very much.
It's been a long old season, but I think you should all be really proud how you came to the track week in, week out, giving it your everything every time, and that's all we can do. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, so yeah, give yourself a pat on the back for that, and let's hope next year we'll be stronger than we were this year. Thank you, everyone.
I think I'll definitely look back and think there's so many great moments, great memories, and some amazing things I've learned from this season that will really help me become a better driver. Overall, I think it's been a good year, and I think I'm really looking forward going into 2022 to build on that and see what we can achieve.